David Schreiber, here we are again, episode
Jeff,
6.
Jeff, has it really been six
I know.
episodes?
It's one of those things where we talk all the time anyways, but this has been a very busy week this week. And I don't think we talked this week. I don't think I texted you this week. Maybe sometime I said, what's our episode going to be about? I,
Well, I can say this: you jetted off to New York City and
I
lived
did.
a unique, I'll say, Valentine's Day weekend, and I
I did.
stayed hovered and hunkered down where I am, trying to avoid the sleet, the snow, and the rain,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
wind. But I can tell you one thing hugely positive that happened this weekend.
Yeah, tell me.
I actually drove a car for the first time in a long time.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh, you are
seven.
off the scooter.
I'm off the scooter.
Oh my
Not supposed to be
gosh.
driving, but I went up and down the driveway a couple times just to check it out.
Yeah,
So I was able to get
that is a
myself.
big week.
It is. That's almost. It's kind of weird because it's been almost 2 months,
I know.
and
I
so
know.
I'm actually.
Sad.
Yeah, it is, but it's. I'll just say this: time doesn't necessarily go by fast
Yeah,
when you want it to, but when you
yeah,
don't want it to, it goes by fast.
yeah.
But I can say this: if you haven't, if you've ever been in a position where you haven't driven for a while, it's like riding a bike. It just comes
Just
right
to,
back to you.
yeah. Unless
So
you have to drive in England, which Leah did, and she was an absolute superstar driving from London Gatwick all the way to Wales. It was extraordinary. Just
on
extraordinary.
the left hand side of the road, of course, right?
Through like 100 roundabouts from Gatwick all the way to Wales, the Welsh coast. Yeah, it was. She was amazing. She was amazing. Well, let me briefly. I didn't get to tell you much about my big trip. So you probably remember that Leah's brother lives in New York,
Right.
and he's a newlywed, and his lovely wife was there, of course. And about 2 months ago, I kind of randomly texted him and asked if the newlyweds had any, like, they just jet off to who knows where to do stuff. And I was like, you got any Valentine's Day plans? What do you think about a double date? Just randomly throwing it out there. Well, they were both all in, and I kept this a complete secret to my wife as I had to plan all this getaway stuff with dogs and swimming and work, and I'm back and forth with all these different moving pieces, and we just I told her last weekend. She had like 1 week to prepare, and we got there in the afternoon. It was a beautiful, beautiful day. Very cold, but a beautiful day. That snow that you were saying that you had
Hmm.
didn't arrive there until we were leaving.
Right.
Right as we were leaving, the snow was literally arriving.
When did you leave? Last night or this morning?
We did. We left yesterday afternoon. Yeah. So we had a fancy dinner down in kind of close to Times Square, but kind of Bryant Park area. And then we went to a piano bar till all hours of the night, and then we had
Did
a
you sing?
brunch.
Did you sing?
Well, no, the crowd was no. Everybody sang along, but it was not a thing where you couldn't sing. No,
You couldn't jump up and grab the mic?
no.
Okay.
It was nothing like that. And they, I'd never seen this before, and I guess it's probably a common thing. Just shows I'm getting old. But your requests were Venmo tips. They had Venmo QR codes on the piano for the various people that were doing the singing and
Hmm.
playing. And if you wanted to hear a song, you Venmoed them a tip, and they're constantly checking scrolling through their Venmo to see what songs they've gotten tips
Just,
for. And
just,
that's
just,
that.
just out of curiosity, do you think they selected the tips that were the largest to be the songs that went before other
I'm
songs?
I'm sure that the value of the tip affected it, but I was watching people like how many. I had a good seat to see who was kind of hitting the Venmo QR code, and they just went on and on. And now
That is something I can't. I've been to plenty of piano bars, but that's a brilliant idea
it was
to
really,
use a Venmo code.
yeah.
That's brilliant. Huh.
Well, let me tell you what this place did that was really neat. So they had the main guy was on the piano, of course, extraordinary what he does. I mean, I don't know what he does professionally, like for the rest of his life, but those 4 or 5 hours when he's on the piano doing God knows any style of anything that you want to hear. So he sings and plays the piano and takes requests, but then there's three bartenders and a waitress, and they all have a turn where you have to they all come out and sing and do their thing, And it's everything from Backstreet Boys to Journey. I'm going to tell you what, the waitress, and I was like, they told me early on that all the bartenders have a shift and they come out and sing, and it's about a 20-minute shift, and the other guy plays for 20 minutes and he's got a 10-minute break. So it's about an hour set, I guess, give or take a little bit. And the waitress was the last one. It was kind of clearing out. It was after 1 o'clock, and it was finally her turn. Dude, she did Wicked songs. She did
Really?
Broadway, Idina Menzel things. I mean, it was like her. Like I was not expecting that to come out of this lady who had hustled so hard between like I don't know how many, like 200 people in a tiny little place. Of any fire code in the world except for New York City probably violated the number of people that were in that place. It was crazy,
But it was a
crazy.
grand old time.
It was fun. It was
I
really
bet.
fun, I have to say. Yeah, and then we did a brunch and kind of walked around a little bit until we went to the airport. And as we were waiting for our 3:30 flight, the snow came to New York and literally arrived while we were at LaGuardia, and they had to de-ice the plane, and that was eerie. I've never been in a plane that was being de-iced. They have to turn off the ventilators so you don't
Yeah.
breathe whatever they're putting on there. I've never been in that before in my whole life.
It's like
So,
it's almost like they're like pressure washing the plane out there, you
yes,
know?
it's exactly
Yeah.
what it's like. They got these two
Yeah.
big trucks coming by.
Yeah.
There's a dude up in a way up thing working the hose. Yeah, it's very eerie. Yeah, very eerie.
LaGuardia is an old airport, man.
You know what? The
Old.
whole Delta thing it's like it's brand new. I don't know. The whole Delta wing of it is beautiful, and there's no issues. The lines were short. I mean, we spent 10 minutes in the TSA line. 10 minutes at LaGuardia.
I
Go
know,
figure.
me as a kid growing up in, New England, that LaGuardia was always the big airport, and it was
Mm.
named after, I think he was a
At the
mayor of
mayor.
LaGuardia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a mayor. Yeah.
Yeah, and then later came, I guess it's JFK that's located there too.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but anyways, that's kind of when you think about the ultimate Valentine's Day excursion, jet
Yeah.
off to New York City, hang out with your we'll say relative,
Yeah.
and then jet back home on Sunday
The next day, Saturday, came back on Saturday. One
Saturday.
day.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were there about 30 hours. Yeah, I've never done anything like that either. And let me tell you, when I was young, that would have been nothing. I'm not young anymore, and I was really, really tired.
Because it seems like something you would do to say, "Hey, at least I was there at New Year's Eve," and then you
I
just do those kinds of things.
I felt like we were there for 4 days, and it was one day. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was one day.
Now, did you guys have to Uber from LaGuardia, or did he pick you up?
So the kind of the best way, and I don't know if anybody would ever listen and take my advice on this, but I think the best way to leave LaGuardia is to take a taxi.
Okay.
They're all lined up, they're waiting for
Just
you.
jump in and go. Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's a bunch of fellas, mostly guys. I don't think I've ever seen any girls who will tell you that they're a taxi or an Uber. Like as soon as you're at the baggage place, they're all yelling taxi, taxi. They're not the taxi. Follow the signs all the way to the yellow taxis. They're all waiting in a line there for you.
Hmm.
They're the real deal. They're not going to scam you or anything like that. That when you get in, this it tells you exactly what you're going to pay for everything, and it's a lot. It's a lot to get to LaGuardia from to Manhattan. It's a lot, but it's a wild wild trip, that's for sure. I enjoy going. I've had a good time though.
You like
You and
going to
I
you
have been.
you
It's
you
been
like
fun.
going yeah you like going to New York City, don't you?
Well, I didn't used to. It used to be like I don't know. It was kind of made me nervous, like all the history of crime and stuff that you saw, on television from New York. It made me nervous. But I think when you and I went with all the kids, except for Kelsey, she doesn't ever let us forget that she wasn't there,
I
and I
can't.
still
I
feel
don't
bad about
remember
that.
the fact that she didn't go. I forgot
No,
about that.
yeah, yeah. Pascal wouldn't let her go. She was
Well,
training,
we had
Christmas training.
we had that down to a science because I remember we stayed right at MetLife Stadium,
We were in Jersey.
and
Yeah,
then that was right there where there was actually a bus stop that took you
there
straight to
was.
Times Square like every
Yeah,
hour on the hour or
yeah,
something. So
yeah, yeah,
able to escape all the madhouse
yeah,
traffic and still
yeah,
enjoy everything about New York City.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Well, David, we have a little lighthearted episode today. We were pretty deep in the weeds and everything with Philip last week. How great was that being with Philip? I mean, oh my gosh,
honestly,
just
that was a great time. And think about time travel. That was a great
yeah,
time traveling
yeah.
experience.
I
You
had the
know.
best time talking to him, and I just love seeing him grow and all the things that he goes through and kind of trying to figure out his life. And I'm just really proud of him and all our students that have kind of grown and had great lives. It's really fun to see them all. But I thought, and I texted you, a little while ago that wouldn't it be fun if maybe because you and I love movies
We do.
and TV, and I wish we got to watch more, but we have a whole lifetime of movies, and I thought, wouldn't it be kind of fun to compare our kind of top 10 movies just
So
for the
that
heck of it, just to,
we jumped from, like, I'm gonna say last week, to where I think last week was a very sincere and pretty, I'll
yeah,
say, educated
sure,
type
yeah,
of podcast
yeah,
initiative, to where you wanted to give real life experiences to
right.
people listening. Here, I'm just gonna say it. I kind of dropped the ball this week in terms of planning, and I was supposed to come up with this phenomenal idea as to what we're going to talk about. And then it just became one of those things where life takes over.
That's right.
I got into an argument with my wife. It kind of
No,
it derailed my thought process to
no,
where I couldn't focus. So
yeah,
now I had to go back and like, as a good teacher, this goes back. I always bring back, bringing the teaching thing. Sometimes you have this wonderful lesson plan. You spend all week planning,
yeah, scrap it. Yeah,
and
yeah,
all of a sudden you're
yeah,
teaching and the power goes out and you
yeah,
lose your Promethean board. Or the
yeah,
greatest, and the greatest of those was when you had an overhead projector and that bulb went out,
absolutely.
and every kid was jumping, and I mean, I remember that they would jump and scream and get, and all of a sudden I got smart just like you. I kept a spare one right in front of it, so when it went out, I just picked it up and go, voila.
Pop it in. Yeah, there we
Yep.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is
Well,
one of those moments.
we've talked. We have some good deep subjects coming. We talked about. We're going to have an episode coming up really soon about joining families. You and I have
Yeah.
experiences with that of joining a family. I have a couple of son-in-laws that want to come on and talk about joining a family, and they're a little bit nervous about Mr.
I want
Schreiber grilling them,
we
and
need I want them to come on. I really do.
they are.
Yeah.
We're making a plan for that. But I thought, we need a little lighthearted conversation and
Yeah.
debate about some movies. So if it's all right with you, I had a hard time coming up with number 10. I got nine really easy.
Well,
I mean,
let me
I
just
I got nine.
kind of point out that this particular episode is more or less for our, say, our family and audience and children, students, to know a little bit more about internally
That's
how
right.
we think and feel.
That's right.
So this is one of those
Well, and,
moments, they can say, oh, they like those movies. Okay.
yeah. Well, and honestly, this list of however many it ends up being, that people ought to see them. They ought to
Yeah.
see all these movies. I mean, whether you like us or not, these are movies that you need to go find where they're streaming and see them. So let me give you my honorable mention because I couldn't get it down to 10. So here's my batch of 10. Are you ready?
Okay.
And you can
Are
tell.
you gonna say all 10 at one time?
No, Lord, no, I'm only going to give you one at a time, and then you got to go
Okay.
too. But I'm giving you my batch. This is a batch for number 10. It's just some movies that I couldn't decide on.
So this
So
is
first
one.
of
This
all,
is just
it's
one.
just number 10. It's number
Okay, number 10.
10,
So
but
I'll go
it's
10. You go 10. Okay.
yeah, my number 10 is like 12 movies. And you'll see what I
What?
mean.
Okay,
Hang on,
I'm
you'll see what I
listening.
mean.
I'm listening.
So every Star Wars movie, how am I going to pick? They're all on the list. Every one of them. They're all fantastic. I love them all. I've watched everything Star Wars that Disney will give me, every series, everything, anything Star Wars. That's on the list. Um, all the Avenger movies. God, I love Marvel and Avengers. I could not pick one. I mean, which one am I going to pick? Endgame, great, right? They're all great. I mean, they're
Yeah.
all good. All the Avenger movies. Lord of the Rings trilogy. What are you going to pick number one? Are you going to pick number three? Number two just leaves you cliffhanger, so that's not anything. It's can't pick number two. And then I had another that I think you'll appreciate
These are
that
all lumped into number
they're
10.
just lumped in number 10. I,
Okay.
I just I got no 10. I got no number 10. This one kind of stands alone. Maybe it's number 10. Groundhog Day. Bill Murray. I love
And
Groundhog
you
Day.
do know that tonight is the 50th anniversary of SNL. It
I
comes
know.
on at 8 o'clock tonight.
I
And
know.
all, I think, of the original cast members who are still
Still
alive are going
alive.
to be
Still
on there.
alive.
It
Yeah.
makes me think of Bill Murray, obviously,
Yeah.
when you said his name. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Groundhog
Groundhog
Day.
Day was filmed not too far from where I live.
Punxsutawney.
Tawny,
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Punxsutawney.
If you go
So
up
like I
there,
said,
yeah.
I really don't have a number 10. Any thoughts on any of those that I kind of lumped together in my number
Well,
10? I mean, I know
I,
you have thoughts on the others.
I'll say this: the Star Wars movies obviously is a big win for everybody.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a cool thing because you can watch the evolution of cinema when you think about
Mm.
it, like it was
Yeah.
1977 was the original.
77. Yeah.
This was the
Yeah.
original Star Wars, and then this all how the special effects
Yeah.
have emerged. So if you watch all of them, it's fantastic. The Avenger movies, fantastic. The one thing about the Avenger movies though that's pretty amazing is how they made all those stories kind of combine and work together. I
Oh my
mean, the
gosh.
writers were brilliant. I mean, I don't know if there's
You
another
know,
word to even say.
well, it's like everything was planned from the very beginning. That's the thing I love about it. I think
Right.
it's low. You don't have to think much while you're watching it. I mean, it's there's not, but when you process it afterward and you realize how much was planned to go from all the way, even WandaVision, like how
Yeah.
they planned to pull that all in there and
Well, the
just
whole
amazing.
idea of Loki and Thor having a key to the whole sequence of events, I kind of thought, I was like, why would they
How they
start
gonna even
there?
pull it together? I
Yeah,
know, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I just loved all of that. So that's my number 10. It's a whole bunch of them. So you got a number 10? What's your number 10?
Well, I sent you a list, and for
I haven't
me,
looked at it. I wanted it to be a
okay,
surprise.
movies to me are so much a part of human growth
Mm,
almost. Like if you look at them, like remember when you talked about when you said there were certain times in your life where people called you by a certain
hmm.
name that you could depict what time of your life it was.
Yeah,
When I think about movies, if somebody throws me out a movie, it specifically goes to a time in my life, and I
sure.
always compare the movie to what was happening in my life at the time
Okay.
you know so when I look back on 50 years of movies, there are several movies that stand out, but I can say is movies have had more of a influence on me than I actually want to say. Like
Mm,
I like you know I can you know this, like when kids are growing up, especially maybe in the 70s and 80s, there it was different than it is today, because I'll
mm,
use the word bullying, which I
mm,
hate. Habitual and over time. When we think of bullies, like when we were in school, they're not like the bullies of today. To
mm.
me, today bullies don't really they exist, but it's more verbal, I guess you would say, than anything else.
I think I
Back,
know where you're going with your number 10. I think I know where you're going. Go
you
ahead.
think, okay, you
I think I
maybe,
do.
you
I
might.
think you've given me
So,
enough.
so when I think about the difference, I guess you could say in terms of how movies would make you think and feel, and it would change how you would perceive maybe your own reality. And even to
Mm,
this day, like when I go to the gym to work out or do something, I put this headset on and I turn on my playlist. Even though I'm in 2025, my brain takes me back to certain points in my life based on experiences, but also with that movie influence because the song that's playing may have been played in a movie.
mm.
So there are many movies that have a very strong impact on me. But when I start at number 10, I mean, I'm looking at probably for me when I think of, and here's the thing I have to say every movie I'm going to say tonight or today had an impact on me. I don't
Mm.
know if the scope and sequence can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. This was the
Yeah.
least. I'm
Yeah.
just throwing them out in terms of I didn't prepare well for this. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm winging it. So
Okay. All
I'm
right.
gonna start with Back to the Future.
I knew you were going there. That was so deep. I
Yeah.
knew of nothing else you could have
Yeah.
had.
When I think of Back
So,
to the Future, I have to say, and I was very fortunate in 1985. I wasn't that old, but in 1985 when that movie came out, I remember how big it was at the movie theater, and I remember how much people were just enthralled with Michael J. Fox because
oh
he
yeah.
was also, he's also what's his name on Family Ties, uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
the kid on
Alex
Family
P. Keaton.
Alex B. Keating. So
Yeah.
he was
Yeah. All
very
at the same time.
all
Yeah.
at exactly all at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But Back to the Future has resonated with me forever. I mean, just
Yeah.
because I made sure when my kids were old enough to kind of, we'll say, think, probably we'll say like
Hmm.
6 or 7. That was one of the first movies I
Yeah.
showed them because
Absolutely.
I love the storyline, how
Yeah.
everything connected.
Yeah.
And the
It's true.
connections were incredible.
It's all true.
Incredible. So
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it back to you.
All right.
Number 9.
Well, So as we go on, we are going to have some of the same movies. So we won't. I'm looking at the clock, thinking, how are we ever going to get this done in 30 minutes? But we have a lot of the same movies, so
Yes.
it's going to come back. So at number nine, I have a movie, and it's very important um, to my psyche that this is not two, three, four, five, six, 10, whatever it is. It's the one without a number. And at number nine for me, it's Rocky.
Really?
It's Rocky one. You shouldn't have to say one. It's Rocky one. And I know you love the victorious nature of defeating Apollo Creed. I know you love the Mr. T and the Ivan Drago that comes and the new ones
The
with
Creed.
Apollo Creed's kid and all that. But Rocky one for me was about being tough and being committed and just trying to just no matter what, just chasing your dream is all. And all he wanted to do was have a chance at it and go the distance. That's all he wanted to
I
do. It's just
absolutely model my entire existence as a human being once I
mm,
became aware of how to do that
mm,
after Rocky Balboa. I
mm,
do.
mm,
I feel like his existence and his, we'll say, Rocky 1 was phenomenal. It was
mm.
phenomenal. Rocky 2 for me is my all-time favorite movie. At this
You
list, it
have
would be
that on
number
your
1.
list? Do you have Rocky 2 on your
It would
list?
have been number 1.
You didn't put it on your list?
It's number 1. It's number
Oh,
1 on my
it's
list.
you
It's
jumped to
I
number one from number nine?
No, your number 9 is my number 1.
Mm,
And there's many
okay,
reasons for that.
okay.
Number 1, the guy in the movie says, "I am not going down anymore."
Mm,
In the fight, and he continues to kind of build his, I'll say his stamina. He builds all these things up in the movie to where through I think it's 15 rounds of fighting. In
mm,
the end, both guys give it all,
mm,
but at the end, he's able to give it just a little bit more.
mm.
And the things that he's appreciative of, he thanks God, he thanks his son being born, or praises that. And then the last thing he does is he shouts out to his wife,
Of course. Yeah. Yo,
and
Adrian.
yeah, and to me that is the greatest movie line
Mm.
in all of history. It has to be.
Okay. All right.
That's
All
my
right.
opinion. Sorry.
Okay. But it's fine. All right. So you got another? Is that what you want to go? Rocky two and move on back to me? You want to throw it
I'm
back to
going.
me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Rock. Okay. All right.
Because you
So
went 10-9 and I went 10-1. So
that's
now you're
okay.
up.
That's all right.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna stay sequential because I got some of the same ones as
Okay.
you have. I know. So I'm going old school here with number eight because I think it affected our culture as much as anything, and I watched it every year of my life, and that's The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Ooh.
It's just
That movie scared me.
it scared me too, but I think there was just something about it, and it's just all the way up to watching watching Wicked now as an adult and seeing the play and watching the movie. There's something I don't know. There's something really deep internal that just I don't know. I just love it. I love the moment when you realize that the little scared little baby lion in Wicked grows up to be the cowardly lion. I just love that.
Hmm.
I just those little things that they throw at you and choosing the color of the road. Come on. It's just so good. It's just so good
I
and
remember as a
the
kid
black
growing
and
up.
white to the
Yeah.
color transition in
Every
that
year
time frame.
that movie would come out every year, and it was
Yeah.
played on CBS I think every year,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it would scare the crap out of
I
me as a
bet.
kid.
Oh, me too. Yeah, me
When
too.
there was that scene where all of a sudden she shows up on top of the house, the witch does, and then she throws the fireball at
Yes.
the
Here you go,
scarecrow.
Scarecrow.
I mean,
Play with fire.
I was
Yeah.
diving under the
Yeah.
couch, going
I know.
ah,
I know.
you know.
I know.
Why you
I
bring up a
know.
scary movie?
I know. All right, so we're running really slow. We got to pick
Well,
up the
yeah,
pace a
we
little
pick
bit.
up the pace here.
What do you got? What do you got?
If I'm going down my list, I'm about to throw out there 1992, A Few Good Men.
Oh, good one. Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
handle the truth. Yeah.
no, I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
go with that. I mean, and
Yeah.
I love Tom Cruise in the movie. I love Demi
Yeah.
Moore in the movie, but Jack Nicholson hit a home
Yeah.
run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon in there. You got the
Hmm.
Sutherland. I mean, you got an all-star
Oh,
cast.
yeah. Yeah.
But when it comes to
The
just that,
line.
oh,
The line.
you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah,
that's
that scene of Nicholson on the stand is just one of the best movie scenes ever. And if you're talking about scenes, best scenes of the movie ever,
yeah,
that's up there with Forrest Gump sitting on the bench. I mean,
yeah.
it's just so good,
Well, the
so good.
hardest part, and it's kind of weird because that's a movie from 33 years ago, but I
Mm,
remember like it was yesterday.
hard to believe.
For me, at the end of the movie, and everything is, the whole code red things is come
Yeah,
out and it's true, and all of a sudden at the end, they give the verdict and it's, not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, and it's guilty as charged
yeah,
on becoming a Marine. And
yeah,
that
yeah,
changed the whole scope and sequence
yeah,
because at the end, it went, you're almost wanting to jump for joy. These guys are get off free, but then
yeah.
you realize
No, we're
was
not.
the message was so powerful.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah. You're
We
not
didn't
getting
look
off.
out. We
Yeah,
didn't look out for the man who was weaker.
yeah,
That's what we were supposed to do.
yeah. That's a
All
good one.
right, back
Good
to
one.
you.
All right, so one that I don't know that you've even seen, but was important to me was Amadeus. Amadeus is on my list of best movies I ever saw.
I've watched it, but it was so long. Wasn't that like one of those
Yeah.
3 hour
Oh, it's so long.
jobs?
Yeah, it's so long. But I just
Yeah.
think we're hopefully going to get to see Mozart's home this summer. Leah and I are taking a little trip to Austria this summer with her parents and mom and stepdad
If
there,
you're
and
going to Austria, you better be going to see Schwarzenegger's home too.
we're going to hopefully be able to see Arnold's home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
Arnold's home. Yeah.
trophy in the middle of the town to him. Did you? I mean, a statue like the Rockies.
Doesn't
Yeah.
surprise me.
There's
Doesn't surprise
yeah,
me at
yeah,
all.
absolutely.
All right, what do you got next?
Oh boy, you're really putting a punishment on me. But I'm gonna stay in the 1985 era, The Breakfast Club.
Wow. Don't you forget about me. There we go.
Don't you?
Yeah.
Simple Minds.
Yeah, Simple Minds.
You know that.
Jim Kerr married Chrissy Hines. What a power couple, right? From The
Yeah,
Pretenders.
yeah.
Jim Kerr.
I'm
Jim
gonna.
Kerr from Simple Minds.
I really think when I think about that movie, that's got to be one of the cheapest movies ever to make. When you think
Oh,
about it,
yeah.
they're in a school library the whole time.
Yeah.
It
John
was a hard.
Hughes was
It
the
was a hard.
director.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it was. Yeah, it was a hard movie for me to understand because back then I wasn't in high school yet.
Yeah.
But then having a Saturday detention was kind
Yeah.
of where I grew up. It wasn't even very common.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in that movie though, it taught me. And when I was in college, I had a class where we had to do we'll say we had to do like almost a case study of the movie for our class,
Mm,
and
mm,
I just remember having to really get really in depth with each character and the person
mm,
they were, the character in the movie and what they meant to teaching. So that movie was pretty. But
mm.
look at the cast at that time: Molly
Yeah.
Ringwald,
Oh God.
Emilio Estevez,
Judd Nelson. Yeah.
Judd
Yeah.
Nelson,
Yeah.
Ali Sheedy.
Yeah.
Who's the kid? He was in
Yeah.
all the '80s movies,
McCarthy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right,
Who
back to
who
you.
yeah. So I'm going we're getting to the real classics now. I have it number 6 and I could have put it a lot of different places. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's amazing. That's a good one. That's a really
God,
good one.
just so good. And I just feel bad for any 20 something, 30 something, 40 something that has not seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. I feel bad for them. It's just one of the best movies ever made. And the others are fine, that they're fine, they're fun, but that first one just oh my gosh, just great. Yeah,
The one
just
that
great.
that was like in the late '70s, but the one
Mm.
that resonates with me the most is the one with uh, your Scottish actor Sean Connery.
Oh, when it's Sean Connery's his dad.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember. Was that '84 that came out?
I
Was
don't
I
know.
can't
I
remember
don't
that
know.
one. Yeah.
I don't know if it was 2, 3, 4, or whatever. You called him Junior. That was the best.
Yes.
Junior.
Yes. Yeah. Those were just, and that goes
Yeah,
back to the whole
yeah,
sci-fi idea.
yeah,
They don't make
yeah,
good movies like that anymore.
yeah. All right,
All
what do you
right,
got?
jump into me. So I'm gonna have to roll with, when you're talking about movies and sci-fi type trilogies, I
Oh,
guess you could
sci-fi.
say. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the whole Superman.
Oh,
This is
good one.
Superman movies. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm talking
good one.
Christopher Reeve.
The originals.
The
Yeah,
originals,
yeah,
Christopher
yeah,
Reeve. I remember those starting out. Those were pretty good movies to me. I
yeah.
mean,
That's great.
yeah, they were,
Yeah,
they were. I mean, the new
yeah,
ones are great, but those, like
yeah.
they did one, two, three. I think there was a fourth one with him,
That could have been
with
with him.
Christopher
Yeah,
Reeve.
could have
Yeah,
been.
and
I,
people don't
yeah,
realize this, but as for me growing up, Christopher Reeve was the sign of power. He was
Oh, he
just,
was.
and
Yeah,
then the
And then the
damn guy
accident.
fell off a
Yeah.
horse
Yeah,
and
of
was
all the
paralyzed the
things.
rest of
Yeah.
his life.
He was still
Tragic.
he was such an advocate though for disabled folks.
Yeah.
It was great what he did with his time and his effort and all that. I've always been into the DC Comics movies, Dave. I love them all. I love all the
Yeah.
Batman movies. Love every one of them. Doesn't matter who Batman is. I love the campy ones. I love the serious
I
ones.
have to know. I have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite Batman?
Oh, Dark Knight is like way and away my favorite.
Who
Yeah.
was your
Christian
favorite?
Bale.
Who was your Christian? Your
Oh,
favorite Batman
oh,
actor?
absolutely. Yeah.
No,
Absolutely. Yeah.
no.
Not yours?
You're being from Pittsburgh and you don't say Michael
No,
Keating.
no, no, no. I can't say
Michael
Michael
Keating
Keaton.
was my
No,
favorite Batman
no. What
all
I
time.
what I like about the Batman movies is the angst, baby. I love the darkness. I love and Christian. Nobody can do darkness like Christian Bale. I love all
Think
that.
about the original Batman movie
I
in
know, I
1989.
know. He was
You
great.
got
I was
him.
great.
You
I
got
know.
Jack Nicholson.
I
And
know.
better
I
yet,
know.
you think about the other person who was hovering around the whole thing, Prince, the
Prince.
Batdance.
Yes,
He
yes,
did a
yes,
song, and he doesn't even get any credit for
yes.
that really anymore.
Who was Vicky Vale? She was a famous actress that we were
Uh,
all, uh,
Basinger, Kim Basinger.
yeah, Kim Basinger.
Yeah,
Yeah, she was great too. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, yours. We're at
Uh,
30 minutes. We got to
yeah,
roll on this. We got some big ones here to come.
I'm gonna jump a couple. I'm gonna do a scope and sequence of a couple. All right. I'm gonna
All
jump with
right,
the Dead Poets Society, 1989.
that's great.
Robin Williams.
Carpe
Okay.
diem, baby.
Carpe diem, seize the day. I thought that was
Yeah.
fantastic. You go.
We can't stop and say that. We just were talking about that with Philip. I mean, that was a thing for us to do that,
It was
and
part of the reason I became a teacher of English. I
absolutely,
wanted to do English
yes,
because of that.
absolutely.
You know,
That's a big deal.
I
Yeah,
stood up on top of my desk and taught because
yeah,
John Keating
absolutely.
did it.
I was a mitochondria man on top of it because of that movie.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. That was
he
totally
had
that
such a
movie.
profound
Yeah,
impact. You know
totally that
what's even
movie.
crazy? The kid that plays the main character in that movie, I didn't know his name. He plays Wilson in House MD that whole series.
Oh, okay. So as a
He's
grown
the
up. Okay.
oncologist.
All right.
Wilson, yeah.
All right. Well, my next one's easy because you already named it. Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
That's
All
good.
right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw out there Forrest Gump.
I got Forrest Gump at number three. There we go.
Absolutely. Yeah, Forrest Gump is being, I guess you could say, that movie is timeless to me.
Yeah.
It's literally
Yeah.
timeless. When I
Yeah.
think about just how it speaks about a man with say a disability, how he became so
Mm,
involved in all of the main ideas of the world,
mm.
from I mean from the very beginning. But
Yeah.
he could overcome all these obstacles. But the
Yeah.
one thing in that movie that is profound to me, it just kind of makes me, minus all the iconic scenes, is when he starts running through town, and all of a sudden he goes running across the football field, and the coach stands up and goes, "Who the blank is that?" And they say,
Hmm.
"That's Forrest Gump."
Hmm.
That person was Bear Bryant. That was the
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Do you know who played Bear Bryant in that movie at that point in time?
I don't.
Sonny Schreier, Enos from the Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh. Okay.
That's who it is.
See, if we were doing television shows, I know Dukes of Hazzard would be nowhere near my top 10, and that's on.
I know, but
I
that's
can't
one of
do
the things that
television.
stands
Yeah.
up for me when I
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So
All right,
anyway,
I'm gonna throw a serious one back at you since you got
okay.
two of mine now on the list. Uh, on my list for sure, Saving Private Ryan.
Oh boy,
Just yeah, yeah.
that was
I
pretty good.
just yeah, it just I think about the that at in the gosh in the cemetery at the end. I just can't even hardly stand it. It's just too much to even think about. Too emotional to even think about. All right, you ready? What's up?
I'm
What do you
ready.
got?
You're ready for mine?
I gave you Saving Private Ryan. That's just it's
Oh
too
boy,
much. It's
we're
too
getting
much for
close.
me. I can't even talk in details about Saving Private Ryan.
We're
It's
gonna
so good.
we're getting to the top of the list, and I cannot go too far up the top without bringing in some Will Ferrell movies. So
Okay, what do you got?
I'm gonna start out with Step Brothers.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say Elf or something like that. Oh my gosh.
I was not gonna go Christmas with you,
Okay. All right.
but I said anything. Will Ferrell is just one of those iconic actors at this time
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah.
I
You've
mean,
not had Die Hard anywhere on your list, and we're at the top of the list now. And no
we're
Die Hard for
four.
you?
I'm not. I am, but I have to
Okay.
I have to go with what's happening right now
You
in my
got to
life.
limit. You got to limit it. Yeah. Oh, there's
Yeah.
so many I could have picked for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. So many I could have picked. All right. You or me? Who's up?
I just said Step Brothers.
I'm down to two, and I know
Yep.
you know what one of them is.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've had a really hard time picking between my top two. So when people ask me what my favorite movie is, I say one of these two, and one I've watched 100 times, and one I try to watch every time I can, and my wife turns wants to turn it off when I watch it
Right.
because the emotional toll on me is so much. So I'm going to say for number two, and I got to kind of leave it and not go very far with it, is Field of Dreams.
Wow.
It's just,
Ooh.
it's so good for me. Every part of it,
Wow.
everything just makes me so emotional. I can't even hardly stand it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I would need a very, very good psychiatrist, psychologist to tell me, to meet with me for weeks on end to tell me why that's so,
It's amazing.
it
It's
just
amazing.
tears me apart. Yeah, it just tears me apart.
All right.
All
I
right.
gotta put, I'm gonna put two in the, I'm putting two to two.
All right.
Okay. There's two
All
movies. We're
right.
gonna go like this. All right. I cannot go too far in life without speaking about Roadhouse, the original with
That's
Patrick
gonna be
Swayze.
on your list, Roadhouse.
With Patrick Swayze, the original. But I'm gonna streamline it with Pretty Woman.
Okay, that's a good one. That's
Yeah,
good. That's good.
and Pretty Woman to me was one of those. Even though my wife is that's her ultimate favorite,
Yeah,
I have a hard time not. I mean, every time I watch it, the whole storyline. But George Costanza's in it.
I know he is. He's really good.
He's in it. He's
He's
in it.
really
So
good in it.
and you
Yeah.
got Richard Gere in there.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So
Well, it is Julia Roberts too in her heyday too.
Julia Roberts, exactly.
So
Yeah.
there's that. All
So
right, so we're at number one, and I'm going to ask you to share with our audience what's on the inside of your ring, your wedding ring.
well, I would
What is on
show
the
them
ring?
what it is, but I haven't been able to wear it because of my
Yeah,
hand.
yeah,
But
I know, I
I'm
know.
gonna say it to you, as you wish, Jeffrey.
As you wish, David.
As you wish.
So number one was no question. I did
Yeah.
wrestle a little bit with Field of Dreams and number one, but Princess Bride,
Princess
number
Bride.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I don't know. My name
Can,
is not Inigo Montoya, and
can you say that line?
nobody.
Can you say that line for me just once? You say it
My
so well.
my name
Do
is
it.
Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
The six-fingered man.
Oh my gosh, it's the best. Yeah, it's the
If
best.
people knew, I mean, Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
Robin
so
Wright.
yeah.
Andre the
I
Giant.
know, I know.
It's
I just learned.
inconceivable. It's
Now that, yeah,
inconceivable.
yeah, that's the best. Yeah, I do not. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. So I just learned this last week that the whole thing with Carol Kane and Billy Crystal was completely ad-libbed. Billy
Yeah.
Crystal just had no script. Rob Ryan just had that. It took them hours and hours and hours to do that scene
Yeah.
because everybody that was in the room kept breaking and ruining the take. Like they were just laughing so hard at
Yeah.
Billy Crystal that they had to leave. Rob Reiner, the director, got kicked out. He had to leave because he was breaking down laughing at Billy Crystal. It was so funny doing that. So those lines that he delivers in about 5 minutes, mostly dead and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and yeah, mutton less than a tomato, all that stuff was just yeah, it was just great. Well, that was fun, David Schreiber. I think
It
we got a
was.
good list for
Absolutely.
people to do, and we'll go back to being a little more serious. Let us know in the comments what you think of our lists. There's a
I
whole
would
lot
like
we
to
left
know.
off. You know,
There's so many, but you have to. That's the problem sometimes with anything that you have to actually make a decision on.
yes,
Making
exactly.
decisions
Yeah,
means you have to make a decision,
that's
and
right.
that decision
Yeah,
you have to go with it. You know.
that's right.
So
Well, we've talked a lot about having some episodes where we do kind of Mount Rushmore is a thing. Mount Rushmore of teachers, Mount Rushmore of people at various stages of our lives, and all that stuff. And yeah, it's people that are important to us. We got a lot of people that are important to us that made us the men that we are, and
absolutely.
each other too. Each other, we've molded each other too. But so that was fun talking about the movies. I hope everybody that listened had a good time thinking about what was going to come on. And he does actually have, and so does Michelle, As You Wish in the wedding ring. It's the best. It's the
Can I
best.
tell one quick story?
Absolutely. We're over time. We're way over time
And
anyways.
when we were teaching together years and years ago, and we would call each other's room, instead of saying "Bye, I love you," we would always say "As you wish."
Did we really do that?
I did with
I'm just
Michelle.
kidding.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
I did.
that.
I
Yeah,
did.
that's
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah,
And the
yeah.
coolest thing of all is like when you and I taught together, we always showed The Princess Bride towards the end of the year.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah,
So when the
absolutely.
kids would be like watching it, and all of a sudden they hear "As You Wish," and they would like, "You say that all the. I know what you're saying." It's
Yeah,
funny to have them
yeah.
come up with. I'm like, no
It's a
way. They said
it's a
the same
cultural
thing.
thing. Yeah. Of course, lawyers don't let you show movies in classrooms anymore. I don't think they let you do that. All the lawyers say you can't show movies. Disney lawyers are the worst at it. They're like you
Yeah.
can't
I
do
don't.
it.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't show movies
yeah,
anymore. So
yeah,
even though I find movies to be very, very important to culture.
yeah. It's just yeah, I agree, and I wish we could share those kind of things with the kids, but the lawyers know best on those on that. You don't want to get your school district in trouble. So, all
Yep.
right, everybody, we'll
Peace
meet
out.
soon. See you.
See you later.
Two
Bye.
biscuits. Bye.
Bye.
Hold on.
I
We're
know.
I know you always want to end too soon.
I know.
We'll tell the people bye.